Hello, welcome to an all-new Foyer Review. I'm your host, Scott Birmingham.
I'm Ross Martin.
And today we're tackling the new J.J. Abrams film, Super 8. Wow, harkens back to the 70s, to say the least.
A lot, yes.
I was reading on Facebook last week, I think it was, and among the number of, I call them my film geek friends, that are into films, very mixed. Some people liked it a lot, and some people would kind of your waste of time in a way.
Yeah.
I posed the question, is J.J. Abrams the next Spielberg? Well, I wouldn't jump that high just yet. So far, I like his efforts on Star Trek a lot better. However, having said that, the story is three-tiered. You have the group of kids making a Super 8 movie. The kids are actually very, very good, and they have to be good for this film. And that was probably the best part for me. The love interest part, which is kind of the second tier within that of the boy and girl, I thought was especially done very well. Again, despite that these are kids. Kudos to Abrams for being able to pull that part of it off. And then what is up with this trail derailment and the government cover-up of sorts? And I don't want to sit here giving things away.
Yeah, it's the main
about
plot,
the movie.
right?
It is. It almost reminded me, again, I was thinking, it's a very different kind of a story, but it's a love story, was Titanic, where the love story is very good, and then it's like the ship crashes, like, oh yeah, there's a different part of the story now to go into. Except I think the ship crashing was a strong story to tell.
Well, the train crashing is pretty early on. It's not like a spoiler or anything, but you know what? The results of that come way later. You don't really figure out what happens from it until later on in the movie.
And
you know, weird things start happening, but you don't know why until.
And a lot of my grief is over some of the things I don't want to give spoilers about in the movie.
Yeah.
That I had some issues with.
I think my main issue, I enjoyed the movie a lot actually, but I thought it gave away too much at the end. I thought it could have been more ambiguous. You know, at the end, it could have. I mean, obviously from the trailer, there's like a big kind of monster type thing in this movie. I think if they didn't reveal as much about it or its origins, you know, like Cloverfield, which is also Abrams produced. You know, he didn't direct it, but he produced it. And a lot of people are actually calling this maybe a prequel to it. They're wondering if this could be a prequel to Cloverfield because the monster is kind of similar. But what they did right in Cloverfield was they didn't really tell you anything at the end. They showed you the thing, but they didn't really tell you anything about it. What kind of disappointed me with Super 8 is they told you too much, so there was no mystery at the end of the movie, and it kind of just tied up nicely, and everything was fine. It was a happy ending.
Well, I will only talk about it because you brought it up. I didn't want to be the one to bring it up. Because of this monster, I think they give you a lot of, I would call them bird feedings, little pellets for the birds, and they're picking it up and you're trying to put it together.
Yeah.
But you know what? I do not kind of like what we did with Battlefield LA, where they're going to tell you about this thing, but don't give you any more insight about it. They show you like the one scene where they're watching the reel with the doctor back in the 60s.
I would have rather had them give me less insight about it. You know,
well,
because they're playing on like the mysterious aspect.
You're
so
building
they need
up
to
to
make
the
it a
ending,
mystery.
and you're waiting for a climax. And if you're going to be creating a storyline, and you want some holes to be filled in as well. I mean, I was curious about this thing. And at the end, when you're seeing it, it almost felt like a letdown for me. Like, I don't feel really any tender mercy for this thing.
Yeah.
I would have liked to, In fact, a lot of this film kind of did a little bit of a spotlight on the feel at least of earlier Spielberg films.
It's very like E.T., Close Encounters.
Well, and I was thinking of some
mashup
specific scenes that actually occurred to me. And one was the town hall meeting that they had. It reminded me very much of the town hall meeting in Jaws.
Yeah.
That kind of a feel. And the only difference is the fact in Jaws you get the scraping of the chalkboard. Great directing element to a story to draw attention. And I kept on waiting for certain things like that, but I shouldn't expect J.J. Abrams to be like Spielberg.
Yeah.
He's not going to be, I don't feel. There were also some scenes that reminded me very much of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, very E.T. In fact, I was thinking of the scene where they sent the guy to go fix out the street light, that maybe Richard Dreyfuss would make a cameo as Roy Neary. I just thought that would be kind of funny and a little nod.
A lot of elements were the same. A lot of the filmmaking styles, especially like the small town thing, because you look at E.T., you look at Jaws, you look at Close Encounters. All those are like small town movies where something supernatural kind of happens. So that's like this. I mean, it's.
I think that Abrams, one thing I would pull out of it is I think that he's got some stories up his sleeve. I think he can be creative in telling them. I don't yet know.
You see that with Lost and stuff too, because he was the main.
Right. I just don't know if he is. what I would call a great director. And he's still young, he's got a lot of stuff to do, but I think that based on what he has done, he's going to come out with some, especially this, so this is his original script and everything. I think he's got some interesting stories to tell.
He's got some good ideas. He's got, he's definitely got a career ahead of him.
And I loved everything too about the last 10 minutes of the movie. The last 10 minutes of the movie, to me, it almost felt like it was a different movie from that point on, only in an effort to wrap things up. And it kind of bugs me when movies do that.
That's what I mean. It should have left things kind of up in the air. It should have been more mysterious at the end. It got a little too, too neat for me at the end.
I'd give it a 3, and I would go see it in the theater.
Yeah,
I think it's
good
pretty
movie.
good.
It looked great. I mean,
as our good buddy Eric Strom would say, is it entertaining or not? I would say yes. It's very entertaining, and if you've got the time and the money to
what
go see
I really liked is the movie because they're making the Super 8 film, and it's so bad because all these kids are just. I mean, the kids in the movie are really good actors, but they play terrible actors as these kids. And at the end, actually stay after the credits for a couple minutes because at the end they show the entire movie they're making throughout the entire thing, and it's so funny.
And my favorite scene, really, out of the whole film is the scene where the train is coming and they're setting up all the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
And those kids were so good. I mean, really, really good in a film that needed them to be good to carry it off.
Very impressive, yeah.
But
especially with a film that doesn't really have any big name stars or anything, they carried it, and it was.
They did really well too. This is another kind of a updated version of Kids Stand By Me kind of a thing, where kid actors kind of rise above it and really carry the weight of this film.
Definitely.
So Ross and I both agree. If you're looking for an entertaining film, a little touch of Spielberg with an updated J.J. Abrams look, check out Super 8. Until next week. For Ross Martin, I'm your host, Scott Birmingham, and this is For Your Review.